Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 455. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
This is the water, and this is the well. Now drink well.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Apparently, it's our affiliate anniversary.
Yes, it is. Very interesting. That's why it's like when I went into the chat, it was like it's telling me to. Anyway, let me finish the intro. There you go, Brett Murdoch.
No, horse for me.
Yes,
shouldn't have.
And Brian Manjoma.
It's getting crazy out there.
Yeah, it really is, man. Twitch just told me that it's our happy affiliate anniversary. So there you go. Happy affiliate anniversary. Now here's the thing. We've been affiliates for like 3 fucking years. This is the first time I'm seeing this.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck are they talking about? You know?
We're even more affiliated
or maybe
now.
We've been affiliated longer. I don't know.
Or maybe it only shows during the exact day.
Yeah, but
So, like if it was
August, yeah, I see what you mean.
Like the 8th of October of, I don't know, 2020 or something, whenever we started.
Yeah. Maybe
you just forgot our anniversary before.
Maybe. I think hey, I don't remember when we became affiliates, but I think we moved over to Twitch in 2017. I could be wrong. The reason I'm bringing up that year is because that was the year where it was literally on YouTube. Because remember, we were a YouTube podcast, always, exclusively, basically, right? We did some stuff on Twitch too, right? But our main platform was YouTube. 2017 was both our best year and our worst year, right? We were doing really, really well at the beginning of the year, right? Then the apocalypse happens. It just killed our entire momentum. So we're like, fuck this shit. We're done with YouTube. YouTube is just going to be where we just upload the shit for, for just reference or whatever. We're going to just stream on Twitch, So, and Twitch has been very well to us.
Yeah, I mean, they've done, a lot of our, little things that we've had, to giveaways and things that we have that has all come from our, from you guys on Twitch. So
yeah,
good stuff.
So yeah, it's been good. It's been good. So yeah, granted, growth has been kind of stagnant, but at least they didn't go backward like it did on fucking YouTube.
Yeah, there was a one point where we were like what Tony said, like we were hitting really good numbers, and then they apocalypsed everything, and then they just ripped us down. So. Yeah. We're barely getting any numbers on YouTube.
Yeah, even now it's like if we get 100, that's a lot. Before we used to get like hundreds or even thousands sometimes.
Yeah, because of our channel was getting promoted on other things.
Other gaming channels. Yeah, but as soon as apocalypse happened, and then so fuck that. This is why as much as I come down on influencers and shit, I also have to give them props, because if this is your primary way of making a living, that is some brutal shit, man. Because these companies can just literally just change the rules overnight and you're out of fucking money. Think about this.
Yeah. We
didn't do anything wrong on our part. We were playing the same rules as always, but they decided to change the rules.
Yeah. What kind of place is that, where you're literally just changing the rules as you see fit because you just felt like doing something one day? That's fucked up.
Yeah, it
sucks.
At
least some sort of consistency between things. But no, they just switch it around, and there are guys, that to be honest, if you're watching anything on the YouTube right now, you're just seeing every single one of those guys, even to the smallest people that get less numbers than us, literally saying, "Oh yeah, join our Patreon, blah blah blah, and subscribe," the whole shebang. They have to have a Patreon just to at least get the funding to do the things that they want to do.
Yeah, and this is why you see a lot of content creators, they'll do their own in-video advertisement, so you can't skip it, and because they need to do that because they may not be getting monetized properly, even if they are big,
Yeah.
So, I kind of respect people who do this shit for a living, because that grind is extremely unstable, But we just do this shit for fun. We're not making money off this shit. We don't expect to either.
Nah.
And it's fine, Anyway, let's get into it, man. Not a lot of questions this week. I guess makes sense because there was not a lot happening in gaming.
And it's the holiday. Y'all are playing some games. That's what you doing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. You all playing some games out there? We got Columbus Day over here in America, so 3-day weekend for some people, which is cool. But yeah, if we don't get any more questions tonight, we may have an early show, so we'll see what happens. Or we'll just talk longer. We'll see. Kishak starts us off here. A very interesting question, too. Could Sony shift away from producing smaller AA games be attributed to the preferences of the gaming community? Japan studios underwent a restructuring into a studio Asobi, possibly due to insufficient sales and audience interest. While we often advocate for, quote, voting with your wallets, unquote, it's important to consider whether we can hold developers responsible when their decisions align with the choices made by the audience through their spending habits, ultimately resulting in fewer of the products we desire. So, yeah, he's basically asking, go ahead, Manny.
Well, no, I mean, Studio Asobi is not Japan Studio. Studio Asobi is Studio Asobi.
Yeah, they're not the same.
That's a different company.
But the heart of the question is, is the reason we're not getting more AA games because of gamers' preference? Gamers' preference seems to be the big AAA games.
The thing is that the one thing about it is also they're not leveraging their budgets. They're just pushing all of their resources toward these big games. Those I would say, like games like Siren and all the games that came out, when Shadow of the Colossus and all those other games, with the exception of The Last Guardian, those games didn't have the same budgets as the same a Last of Us or any of those other games. And to be honest, they need a studio within their own space that creates smaller games that are able to have those sorts of games out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go ahead.
And but you see what Sony is doing. They're essentially closing down all those studios that make those sort of odd little games, and what they're doing is they're filling the space with the indie stuff. That's why Shohei Yoshida is not head of Japan studio and he's head of the independent division, because essentially all of those spaces that would be normally taken up by first party games is all being taken up by independent games.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that is actually what's happening. Either games are big AAA games or they're indie games. The stuff in the middle has kind of been weeded out, We've discussed this many times over the past couple of years. Brett, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I don't think that, if the question is there a market for, did Sony stop making AA games because there's not a market for AA games? There is, and there are lots of AA games being made. In fact, some stuff that, it's technically made by indie studios, but is really, really high quality, almost like AAA studio quality. The line is being blurred. They're just not necessarily coming out on PlayStation. So, by definition, if there are things doing really well in that market, then there's a market for it. It's that Sony hasn't really been good at reliably hitting that mark.
Yeah, and in the interest of fairness, all the big studios are pretty much shying away from AA games, right? You don't see Ubisoft. Ubisoft's not pumping them out. EA's not pumping them out. Microsoft's not pumping them out. The big studios are not putting out these games, so it's not just a Sony thing.
Well, the big studios seem to be under this impression that you could just throw money at games to get quality, and I think we're really kind of learning that's not really the case.
Yeah, because the problem is, again, this is across the board. They're like, okay, what game is going to get us the most amount of money? Let's focus on that, And a AA game, they that's not going to get us how much money. Forget it. That's the general mindset, which is where we are right now,
I mean, wouldn't Lies of P be considered one? Wouldn't Wulong be considered one?
I think they would be. But maybe they're
wouldn't Baldur's Gate be considered one?
We're seeing that's considered AAA.
It's an independent studio.
Yeah, but
it doesn't matter if it's
doesn't
independent
matter, yeah.
studio. Independent studio could have Hideo Kojima's company's an independent studio.
Okay, so I
So,
know it kind of shifts. So
That
like,
doesn't mean anything. Just
so
it
so
has
what's
to
the
do with your
definition of
budget.
independent? What's the definition of AA here then?
Yeah, games that don't cost $200 million to make. You know,
$200 million to make. Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying, Brett? It's a budgetary
I didn't know
thing.
Baldur's Gate cost $200 million.
It probably didn't, but it probably cost like over $100 million to make.
well, I mean, when you factor in not only the development costs as well as
The marketing.
the marketing and the cost of the Dungeons and Dragons license. You know, those guys got to pay for that shit. That's not the guys at D Gang going, hey, you know, at Hasbro going, hey, you want to make a game for us? No, it's like, yo, you want to pay us to make you want to pay us to make that game you want to make?
But we're getting off base here.
We're getting off of that, yeah.
But yeah. Regardless, you know, the industry in large is not focused on that, and you know, and again, the question's asking, are we to blame for that? I would say partly, you know, and this is something we've been talking about for years too, even back. We talked about this on the fucking Cool Stuff blog before we even had a podcast, where basically if a gamer sees a game that costs $60, they're going to think that game is of higher quality than a $50 game. That's why companies sometimes don't bother release, even though I know Assassin's Creed Mirage is $50, but people go $50, that's got to be a cheap fucking game. I'm not buying that, you know? That's been endemic for fucking decades. You know, it's been a really huge issue with it, where people somehow equate pricing to how much a game actually pricing and quality,
pricing and quality. Like you can what was it? I would say Gravity Rush launched at I think a $50 price range.
Yeah, something like that
too. So something like that. So it's like that game isn't any different. You know, I mean, you get a lot of hours out of it. So it's like,
that's
to be
a
honest,
double A game,
like,
you know, for sure.
That's a AA game. So I mean, like, so now, like, you'll see situations. To be honest, I feel like a lot of times companies will also throw the $70 or $60 price range on a game that doesn't really deserve it, too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So just so that it doesn't affect how much they get. But
so let me ask you this: is Remnant 2 a AA game? It was a $50 game.
Is it a AA game
too?
Yeah,
probably is. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's another one. Like, bro, like there's a lot of AA games are doing really well. It's
yeah. No, Brett. No,
like,
I don't. Again, I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying the big studios generally don't focus on those. You notice it's mostly like middle guys, like Devolver Digital releasing games like that. You know.
And I think you're missing my point. I don't think it's that they don't choose to focus on games like that. Like if we're talking about a AA game is kind of made a AA game by not having a huge budget, then companies that don't do well working with smaller budgets without pork belly spending, basically inflating their budgets, they're not going to be able to do that. So like a company like Ubisoft, they, by definition, I don't think they can make a AA game because there's no way they can get something out the door for less than $100 million because they're Ubisoft. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they had the indie initiative. Remember, we had Valiant Hearts and Child of Light.
Yeah, they can outsource other people.
Those were still within them, but those games didn't do well, so they ended the entire initiative. You know,
were they outsourcing indie games to other people, not having them developed in house?
Yeah, that I'm not sure about, but they were Ubisoft games, though. They weren't like
just because they put their name on it doesn't again like
I mean that's just means that they're just the publisher of it. That doesn't make them fully a Ubisoft game, but like it's like that weird what was that Yarn game that what was that through EA or the other one?
That was a EA game.
The one with the kids was it Little Nightmares? Eventually those franchises got bought by the publisher, but when they originally came out, they were not. They were owned.
Okay, here we go. Valiant Hearts, Ubisoft Montpellier. So that is a Ubisoft studio.
It's a Ubisoft one.
Yeah. So and let me look up Child of Light.
What about Child of Light?
Wait, I don't know if I count Valiant Hearts as a AA game.
No, that's an indie game. They quote unquote indie game that it didn't end up doing well. So they basically Ubisoft had this initiative where they were trying to do indie games, quote unquote, right? And after a couple of years, they shuttered the whole thing. because it wasn't making them
Mm-hmm.
fucking Assassin's Creed money or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Talent Light was developed by Ubisoft Montreal. So these were not licensed out to other publishers. They were, other developers. These were Ubisoft developed games, and
smaller titles created inside of their
not
studio.
double A games. But the point stands. These companies like, these kind of games, the games that aren't $100 million are not bringing us this kind of money. Forget about it. I'm talking about the big guys, not the like.
Yeah, well, and the reason I bring that up is because like I'm firmly convinced that some of these big guys, like they don't have. They have too much weight on them. Like they have too many hangers on. They have too many people fucking hanging around by the water cooler / coffee maker, and not necessarily being rock stars within the company, which is what allows some of these smaller companies of like highly passionate creative individuals to do more with less. It is just the nature of corporate structure. In that, look, man, you can't put 9 pregnant women in a room and make a baby in a month. That is not how it works. And I think that because of the bloated nature of a lot of these big companies, like you can take a game like Remnant, right? Like to me, Remnant really blurs the lines because it's made by a small dedicated studio, but they did an amazing job. For all intents and purposes, it is a AAA game. There's no reason it shouldn't be a AAA game. It has all the quality and depth, like everything you should expect about a AAA game, but it's made by a smaller studio. So like that again blurs the line. Like, okay, so what makes it a AA game? Well, the fact that it's built by a smaller studio on a smaller budget. Other than that, nothing. Like, and I guarantee you, if somebody else would have made this game, if an Ubisoft would have made this game, they would have spent 2 to 3 times the money on it. Because they're not good at spending their money.
Yeah, and they also probably would have dropped a lot of the niche stuff too, just to make it
Yeah,
more
they could have
palatable.
developed it as well, and they would have spent more money on it. Like at a certain point, you have to say talent and good direction do play into this.
Yeah, but that's not how these companies generally look at things.
No, and again, that's
They're
kind
just
of
looking. They're just a lot of it's just looking at bottom line. So,
well, and
but again, like
you've been through the like how is it even possible to just kind of handpick the rock stars and get rid of the rest, or when you're running a company that big, is it just too hard to trim the wheat from the chaff?
Well, the thing about it is like, how do you discern a rock star? Even a rock star could put out a shitty album like Load and Reload. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
it's the thing about it is it's like you don't. That's the thing. The question is taking that chance as opposed to not taking a chance at all. And that's the thing. The key. That's how new franchises get made. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, hey, look, we made it. Just going out, digging in the past and making a bunch of sequels. It's literally going out and making these new franchises, and perhaps investing a little bit of money, not so much money on it, and then letting that franchise grow. None of the franchises we know and love these days ever started at being like $50 billion franchises. Exception being Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that started off big. Assassin's Creed started off pretty big too, Then I think it's not fair to say games within the last like maybe 15 years because they, games like Mass Effect started off pretty fucking big. Modern Warfare started off big,
but I mean, it started off big, but it didn't. It wasn't. I would say the last one was probably its biggest.
Oh yeah, they got bigger, but but in 2007, it was still a high budget AAA game.
It was still a high, and it was also not only that, it was also a chance.
Yeah,
and
it was a
that's
chance.
That's the biggest thing.
We don't take chances anymore. Yeah.
Look at what BioWare put out before that. Obviously, they had the
Star Wars game was pretty
game.
proven.
Star Wars was a pretty big one, but I mean, I still feel like it was a chance for them to be able to start on their own new franchise with that.
Yeah. But that was also back when you still had a lot of new franchises. You don't really get too many of those now. From the big guys. We got a question related to that later on, by the way. Yeah, again,
But yeah,
remember
I would
the
say
2007 Cambrian explosion of gaming? That was a lot of new IPs that we got that year. You don't really see that
It's
anymore, you know?
I would say the thing about, and I would, the answer to this question is yes. I think we are definitely the fan base and the general audience is all responsible
Yep.
for why we're not seeing a lot of this.
They
It's because everybody
take partial responsibility because it's also the game developers and publishers too, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's they're gonna go with whatever the trend is.
That's
Right?
true.
They're like,
That's
okay,
true.
hey, these games make why is Sony making 10 multiplayer? What are those games? Not multiplayer games, but online,
The online,
service games,
service games.
online service games, because online service games are doing really well right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right because like basically these if everybody was just buying these little indie games, that's all you would get, you know. But they see what audiences respond to, and also the money that comes in from some of these games. So that's what you get, you know.
Here's a question for everybody here. Do you think that the recent sizing down of Epic and them essentially firing a bunch of people and getting all that, you think that's going to make some places like Sony think PlayStation think twice about those service games? Because what is it? Epic is the bee's knees when it comes to a service game right now.
Fortnite,
with Fortnite. So apparently, whatever they're doing with Fortnite is not working anymore, and they're steadily declining.
Yeah.
Which means, does that mean that the 10 games that we're going to be, the 10 service games that we're supposedly going to see is probably going to maybe cut down to 3?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or 5.
I wouldn't be
Or
surprised
half
if
of
that
it,
happens.
because especially look, if the big guys, the guys who literally have the corner on service game right now, are experiencing financial issues over the point where they have to literally close down, fire a bunch of people and tighten the belt. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, take this the right way or the wrong way, I guess, whatever. But like, has Sony ever learned from their actions on anything ever? The company seems to be guided sometimes by fucking tea leaves. Like, they'll commit to things and then they commit to stupid things and then toe dip on really good ideas. Like, I don't know that they have ever actually like looked at the response from what they're doing and been like, yes, we should do this more or stop doing this. Like,
well, I mean, again, like the era, we keep bringing up the Xbox, era. They saw that they had when the coin was flipped and Xbox was getting all the exclusives and Xbox was the top of the food chain at that point. They looked at that situation and said, okay, what do we need to do to get these players back? So I mean, they do learn, but then they do something like make a PSP, or a Vita.
Yeah. Oh man.
I feel like in general, when it comes to Sony, it's like there's obviously, maybe it could be a situation where there's too many cooks in the kitchen, or there's too many people that have a say as to what's going to go on. But I feel like they'll do something right, and then immediately they'll do something like create that silly PlayStation portal thing.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's got to be a Japanese thing because Nintendo does a lot of the same kind of thing. Like, Nintendo's definitely way worse. Like, but
right now their controlling factor is not Japanese at all. It's Western. It's they're not. It's in their main location is in the States. So
yeah, PlayStation. Yeah,
PlayStation.
I guess that's true.
I mean, and they're right now, to be honest, PlayStation is very Western centric right now, more Western centric than they have previously been.
That is also true.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? AA games. All right. Move on then. Alpha Chuck. He has 3 questions, so I'm just gonna ask all 3 of them.
Holy shit.
Yeah. We now have multiple instances where the Series S has held back current gen games. Do you think the Series X will ever reach its full potential, or will Microsoft continue to scale games back to ensure that they run on the S? Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is they said the X still the X is still able to run they're still able to run it in in its final form. You just have this gimped version, this locked down gimped version that always has to get released. To be honest, I feel like if you think about it, Xbox may end up costing companies more money than releasing on a PlayStation, because they have all these different SKUs that they need to release for.
Yeah.
They're just gonna make it. They're just gonna start excluding Series S from releases except for streaming, and that asterisk is gonna be super important. They'll be like, "Oh, you can still play it on the Series S (parentheses streaming," but that's how they're gonna put the separation without causing too much uproar. I'm 100%.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how people, how gamers react to it when they just hear that, all of those titles that they really wanted to play are just going to be locked down to the, the streaming service. But I mean,
it's going to be a thing. Like the forum wars are going to be just fucking ridiculous. It's going to be full of people being like, "Well, I thought I was going to be able to play this generation with an S," and then a bunch of other people being like, "You really thought you're just going to be able to play through 2028 or what the fuck ever on a $300 console from 2020? Like, really?
That's what Phil said. So
yeah.
Oh, I think the biggest mistake he'd ever made is essentially with that situation is essentially promising everything to be on everything. I mean, yeah, granted, just putting a huge pin into that.
Yeah. I mean,
did he say that was forever, or did he say that was for the 2 years?
He said 2 years games are going to be coming to the one.
Well, I don't even know if he gave a timeline. He just said, to start the generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it. I mean, I get. You go ahead. Sorry, Carlos.
Oh, no worries. He was praising the whole thing where it's like no gamer left behind kind of rhetoric, and he never said, oh, in 2 years. Like he just said, oh, no one's gonna be left behind. If you want to play, you play wherever you want to play, and that was the whole thing. And I think it was like around two-ish years when it actually kind of stopped happening, at least for the most part. But with the S, it's a little bit tricky because they definitely did advertise. They say this is the next gen console. They're saying that the X is a mid gen console.
So stupid.
So it's hard. It's hard to move away from the S. But going back to the question about what it affects. I mean, these developers have to develop for the lowest common denominator. If it doesn't work for the S, then it's not as easy as scaling down. And and you guys mentioned this costs even more money to the developers, because not only do they have to run their games and test and do quality assurance for one console, they have to do it for multiple consoles, and they have to do it for multiple consoles for the same platform for Xbox. So it's and that costs money to test everything. It's like, oh, we got to make sure that the S is running as smooth, just like the X.
But Carlos, I thought it was just as easy as flipping a switch.
Scale it up.
Just scale it up.
Yeah. Think about it as it's like, and you see it with the stuff like Assassin's Creed Mirage and a couple of other games where they have to make these alternate versions. I mean, I feel like the one thing they should do with that S is lock everything down. Like lock it purely down to like 1080 or whatever. Don't even bother to put performance mode or any of that other stuff. Just lock it that way, because it's obvious people who are owning it are not looking. They're not looking for the high end. If they're not, because if they were looking for the high end, they would have invested in the big boy, right? Yeah. They're looking to be able to play these games. That's it.
I mean, even the thing. Just think about this. Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the biggest games we've ever seen from the last decade, right? And it's not on your console because of the S. It's not because of exclusivity. It's not because of any other shenanigans. It's because the developers are trying to make sure that the lowest common denominator fulfills the requirements. I'm pretty sure the Series X version of Baldur's Gate 3 is just locked and loaded and ready for everything, but if they're not going to be like, oh, we'll just release Baldur's Gate 3 for the X, and the S
It
is
was
going to have
it
to
was
wait.
dumb of them to even promise that. Like just from a very fundamental technical standpoint of like, yeah, sure, you could load in all these assets. Now do it twice for split screen. We should be able to do that. Like, what? Who fucking promised that? You should have just been straight up like, no, the Series S doesn't get multiplayer or doesn't get split screen. Just end of story file. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what they ended up doing. And so, like, when it comes, it's not going to have split screen, but they should. That shouldn't have been a hill they were willing to die on, man. That is one of the dumbest reasons to be in this fucking conundrum. Just to be like, nope. Even on the low system, you have to have split screen.
And I think what you mentioned,
was
Brett,
dumb.
ditching the S. I don't think Microsoft will ever do it for this generation.
It's their
I
best
think
selling console.
No. When I said ditch the S, just ditch this split screen for the Series S. That was all they had to do.
Yeah, but I
Like,
think
the game itself runs fine on the Series S. The problem happens when you run. Huh?
No, go ahead. I'm fucking around. Go ahead.
It runs fine. It actually runs fine on the Series S, which I find fucking shocking, but I got it to run on the Steam Deck, so okay, sure. The problem becomes when you're doing split screen multiplayer on the Series S, when it's trying to load like 2 different parts of Baldur's Gate for each different character. Like, it's literally running everything twice. And the Xbox just basically catches fire. It's like, I don't know. Again, like, who knows anything about computing power? When, yeah, that should work, right?
They just think about, it's a cheaper console. People are going to buy that.
And not even that, just that sounds like a PR guy. Like, hey, we should be able to render everything, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we should be able to render everything twice, right? What? No. Why the fuck? No.
I will say this: if there is someone that's going to do it, I think third party might do it. Someone,
But also, it's if somebody's going to do it, it's not Larian. Larian is not like their games. It's not the most efficient thing in the world. Like, it is. You don't look at the coding and I assume and be like, it's beautiful and it's simplistic elegance. Like, no, it's not like that.
but there will be a developer that does reach maybe not this exact same scenario, but a similar scenario where there are features that hold it back, and they're trying to figure out how the hell to get this to work, and it's holding back everything. And and one of them is gonna be like, fuck it, it's not gonna come out for the S. PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X, and that's it.
Yeah. Somebody has to put their foot down.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, like, the Series S is just it's the equivalent of last gen. So, like, when you stop seeing things being able to be cross-gen on the PS4, those are the ones you won't be able to see on the Series S. Sorry that your new console is also a generation old already. Like, way to have one version of your console in bed with the PlayStation and the other version in bed with the fucking Switch.
All right. Okay, man. Moving on here. Another one from Mr. Alpha Chuck. What are the panel's thoughts on the Steam verified process for Steam Deck after a year and a half? Does it work? Have you run into any instances where verified games are not as good as experience? What should be the limiting factors between labeling game as playable or verified?
I wish Adam was here.
Yeah, Adam would be the perfect guy to answer this one. But in my admittedly limited experience compared to Adam, I haven't had any issues with it. As a matter of fact, I've been very pleased by the results, especially because there are some games that aren't listed as verified that work perfectly fine, which is kind of cool. It's just they're very kind of strict on what is or isn't verified, but even games that are just like playable, as they say, they're fine. They're good, But no, in my experience, every game that's been verified works as I thought it would, So again, Adam would be a person to answer this better, but for me, I haven't had any issues with it. I think it's fine. I think the whole process is fine. They're obviously doing something right. It's working.
There is one game. There might be multiple examples, but this is probably the most well known. Remnant 2, when it came out, was Steam verified, and everything. They had to take it off because it didn't work on the
Oh
Steam.
shit.
Yeah, so that's one of the examples where it's like the opposite. But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like I've tested a couple of games, even Cyberpunk, and yeah, I mean they work. I mean, you're not gonna get the best performance for some of them, but it's definitely playable. I'm surprised. I actually tried a Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Runs on 60 frames per second.
Excuse me?
I'm like, it's like, damn, this is running smooth.
Nice. Brian, what do you think, man? Actually, Chris, you were talking, then Brian.
Yeah, I found that it's a pretty good system. Like Carlos said, though, the one thing I was pissed about, I was going to purchase Remnant 2 from Steam to play it on the Steam Deck, and they had changed it already, and it said it's unsupported because of some graphics issue. So I'm like, oh, fuck that. But the even games that are borderline, like you can play with the version of Proton you're using. You can use the experimental version, whatever, and sometimes it'll work. But I've never had a problem. Anything that's verified has worked for me. But even stuff that's like borderline where they give it the yellow flag, like, oh, there may be some issues. I've never had any issues with those games.
Neither have I.
Yeah, so it's been pretty good.
Yeah. Brian, what do you say, man?
I've had one game that was not that good. There's like this weird graphical issues. But apart from that, it's been perfectly fine. And as Tony said, there's been even some games that were not verified that have also just worked fine as well. So yeah, I think the system works well. It's a good idea because again, it makes things easier for someone who's just looking for a game that plays on the Steam Deck. It's like, hey, if it has the tick, then you're pretty much good to go. So, yeah, Valve did a very good job in communicating that with people. So yeah, that's a good prop on them.
Yeah.
Have they ever explained how the verification process works? Like, are they having
they have.
Adam
gave a full breakdown of how that all works.
Like, is there like, are they just running it through like an AI that just literally just pushes it through the paces?
Who knows? But they have detailed the things a game needs to meet in order to be required. Go ahead.
I'm looking at it right now. So there's several different categories that it has to meet. Maybe this is more vague than what Adam talked about, but they're kind of like little check marks. And one of them, it says some in-game text is small and may be difficult to read. So that it has to meet that criteria where it's not. Another one's all functionality is accessible when using the default controller configuration. Another is this game shows Steam Deck controller icons. And another one's this game's default graphics configuration performs well on Steam Deck. So maybe that last bullet is sort of ambiguous, where it could mean it could run in 30 frames, or because I know, so, for example, there's a game that's in the I category, the yellow category, where it's like you can play it, but it's not really verified, and that's Armored Core 6, and yeah, it runs and everything, but it does have like points where it's like dips in frame rate like pretty significantly. So it might not be as playable, especially for that type of game. So, performance I think does get taken into effect.
Yeah, and Brian, I want to go back to something you said about transparency, because they have been pretty transparent about this stuff. There's very few questions, which is nice. I wish we got that from other companies.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I just had this thought come in now, which is kind of like two questions. Question number one: is the Steam Deck more powerful than the Series S?
The Series X. The Series. I don't know. It's a good question.
Because if it's not, then how does that explain games on the Series S? So games on the Steam Deck, but yet not happy that games on the Series S coming out.
Because the Steam Deck limited. Because I can actually answer this. In Baldur's Gate, it's because the Steam Deck had local split screen already like nixed. Like you can't do local split screen on a Steam Deck. That was literally the difference that mattered.
Okay, but then again, most people here were saying that they should just drop the Series S requirement. But then if the Steam Deck's less powerful, then wouldn't that also mean that dropping the Steam Deck as well, since it's less powerful hardware.
Well, no, because again, the series, at least with Baldur's Gate, the reason it was held back on the Series S was because they were trying to.
I know that much. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I understand that part. I'm just meaning everything else that was said. It's like, yeah, it should be dropped because it's like holding stuff back. But then, if it's also running on the Steam Deck, then does that also mean that the Steam Deck is holding stuff back as well, or not?
That's like saying like the lower configuration of a PC is holding stuff back.
And hence I'm asking the question because
I think it's a good question.
If it can run on like a lower end machine than the Series S, then what's the issue of it running on the Series S?
Yeah, that's a good question because it's like
that's my question.
Yeah, no, you're right because it's like okay, just break it down, make it simple for people. If you can have a game running on a lower spec machine, then what the fuck is the SS excuse? Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing, and I think Brett mentioned this in with Baldur's Gate at least. Split screen is disabled for Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I understand that. Again, they got it to work without split screen on the Steam Deck. Okay, fine. But then if people are stating that Microsoft should just drop support for it, but then same games are running on the Steam Deck, then why should they drop support for it? I mean, if next developer, wherever the face is, can say, hey, I'll make a game that runs on the Steam Deck, but then I won't make it run on the Series S, why?
Yeah. Well, if their intention is to get it to run on the Steam Deck, yes, by definition, it will hold back development for other systems. So yeah, that definitely is a point to be made with this. But if they don't, if they're like, fuck it, it doesn't have to run on Steam, then it doesn't. But if they're like, oh, our game has to work on Steam Deck, it has to be Steam Deck verified, then yes, by definition, it would be holding back, just like this. The Series S is holding back games.
But that's not like a mandate, though, is it? Like no. I know for Microsoft, it is a mandate. Games do need to run on the S, right? But that's not a mandate with Steam Deck because Steam Deck, you know what I'm saying? It's not Valve's not going, you know what I'm saying? That's not really happening, So it's a different situation, But yeah, good question. Another one from Mr. Alpha Chuck. Oh, Brett.
So
okay,
wait, for the hell of it, I actually did there's a site called versus.com where you can literally put two things and set them against each other. So yeah, so you can look at the obviously the CPU of the Series S is 3.6 gigahertz. The Steam Deck has at 8x 3.6 gigahertz, and then the Steam Deck is 4x 3.5 gigahertz.
Oh, there's eight cores versus 4 cores.
Yeah, 8 cores versus 4 cores. The teraflops on the Series S is 4 teraflops. The Steam Deck is 1.6 teraflops. The one thing that it does, the Steam Deck does beat it at is it actually has more memory than the Series S, which is 16 gigabytes as opposed to 10. And the GPU clock speed is higher on the Steam Deck than it is on the Xbox Series S, but not by much. So 1,565 for the Xbox Series S, 1,600 for the Steam Deck.
You mean you dropping the numbers?
Dropping some numbers.
Good stuff.
You ever use versus.com?
No, I never heard of it actually.
I was like, can I put in King Kong versus Godzilla?
I mean, it's mostly it's mostly technology, but unless King Kong and Godzilla are technology.
Yeah, are they running? What CPUs they running?
What CPUs they run? How hot? Well, I guess I guess Godzilla runs way hotter than
King Kong. Yeah.
King Kong.
Oh yeah.
All right, next question. Brett, this one's specifically for you, man. Or anybody, I guess anybody, Brett or anybody who has played Diablo 4. Remember that game? Remember Diablo? Is there any hype at all for season 2 What would it take to pull you back in? My take is that I hope it flops so I don't have to play another game because I got Starfield and Baldur's Gate. That's funny. So yeah, bro, what's going on with Diablo, man? Is that shit just dead now?
Bro, I still have a free month of premium and I'm still not going back.
Damn. Remember how hyped you were for that shit?
Like everybody, like I'll be like, I don't think I have ever seen a. Well, I don't know if I can say I don't think I've ever seen it. I cannot remember the last time I have seen a company so contentious of its customer base. Wait, it's 2023. We see it all the fucking time, but still, like they seem to absolutely hate their customers. Not just that, but like they seem to hate their customers. They have no idea what their development team is doing. There's no interdepartment communication, and they seem to hold a generalized contempt for their own audience, which has bred a kind of return contempt back at the developers, myself included, where I'm like, oh, you clearly just don't fucking like us and don't want us to be having fun. So tell you what, how about you go fuck yourself? It was season 2. Yeah, how about you go fuck yourself? Yeah, I'll play Path of Exile 2 when it comes out.
Damn.
In fact, I will go out of my way to give Path of Exile a true shot, purely out of spite for Activision Blizzard.
All right. Anybody else played Diablo 4? Got any thoughts?
It's okay. Phil will fix it.
No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk made a return, but even then, like you gotta understand, like for some of the people like in the know, like seeing the developers unable to play their own game is kind of fucking eye opening. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like, you guys, how are you bad at the game that you made? Like, even down to like little things, like in the game, like to attack stuff, you click your mouse, right? But like, and you learn this pretty quick. When you're attacking stuff, you just hold down the mouse, and it does kind of it auto clicks for you, so you don't give yourself carpal tunnel, right? But when watching the developers play their own game, everyone is like, "Why are they clicking to attack?" Like, they know that they can hold down the mouse, right? We can hear their mouse. We can hear them furiously clicking. Why aren't they just holding down the goddamn mouse? Also, why are you using only basic attacks and no core or special skills? Also, why do you not even have a special skill slotted into your hotbar? This isn't some like uber deep developer only in the no build. This is a basic like you forgot to equip a strong attack for 2 goddamn hours. Like inexcusable shit. The kind of shit where you're like, they know, like it's like watching somebody who developed a fighting game play without ever using the block button, and you're like, they know that they can use the block button, right?
Damn. So they don't even know how to play their own games.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I would say I don't know if those. I mean, again, I didn't watch it, but I mean, there's a good chance that those weren't actually the developers; that they were just the marketing team, and the marketing team doesn't. Doesn't always know how to play.
One of them was lead dungeon designer.
Oh God.
Which is one of those, like, again, like even if you just design dungeons, to be designing these dungeons with such a huge chasm between yourself and the fundamental understanding of how everybody else is playing your game. Even if you're just designing things, maybe you shouldn't be if you don't know how it's being played.
Yeah, that's
and then beyond that, even down to like in a game where there is no PvP, right? Like there's no real competing or fighting amongst people, right? Every time they found a problem, looks like we're going to fix it to season 2. However, looks like people found a super efficient speed farming method. We're going to patch that in 24 hours. Like, tell me where your priorities lie without telling me where your priorities lie.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's you can hear the vitriol in my voice, and I'm not the only one. There's a ton of us. There's a ton of us who have played Diablo and are this mad or more. And I know that there's a lot of people who are just severely disappointed, but when you piss off your fan base that actively, like those aren't things that necessarily, those aren't wounds easily healed, right? And the problem there is, like, you may think like, oh yeah, Brett's an angry guy on the street corner, old man yelling at clouds. Like, yeah, that's a thing, and that's true. I am. But all the other people who were evangelical about Diablo 3, all of the content creators have now turned against it. So you have to understand how damning it is when even your own priests start preaching against you. Like, it is going to be tough to recover from that, because you don't have a foothold in the influencer sphere. All of the influencers, all the people who made that content, who were, reporting it to everybody else, who were setting the tone of the conversation that permeated through fucking Reddit and fucking everywhere else that nerds gather, forums across the internet. These guys were abandoning and forsaking Diablo. So when the people who are making the meta builds for the season go, yeah, I'm not playing this game anymore. And keep in mind, this is their livelihood, right? They have been making videos and money and most likely huge names for themselves doing Diablo stuff. And yet they felt the game was so fucked that they decided to upend all of their content and been like, I guess I'm doing Roblox now. Or some people went to other games, and like some people, they just straight up drown with the ship. But I can't emphasize enough how much more it is than just the player base left, right? It's not that the player base left, it's that the content creators left, and they took everybody with them, and there's animosity with those people, so you're not going to get them to be brought back. So nobody wants to make Diablo videos, and nobody wants to get new Diablo videos. Nobody's making new builds. Like, it's so hard to restart that engine when you've lost that momentum.
Yeah. If you lose the influencers, that's it. You're done. That's crazy. All right, man. Moving on here. Black Metal Gamer. Couple questions. Now, this question.
What's up, Black Metal?
Now, here's a question we've gotten like 3 separate times, including this one. And our answer is still the same. Has anyone, actually, maybe it's changed. I don't know. Has anyone played Lies of P yet?
I haven't. I was gonna load it on my on my laptop, but yeah, I just haven't had the urge to play it. I know a friend of mine who's a really big Bloodborne fan says it sort of goes against the things that you want to, the things that you do in Bloodborne. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really not his. It's not really not the game's issue. It's his own issue. Where, Bloodborne is very much about being more aggressive and doing parries rather than blocking and rolling.
But yeah, to answer the question, same answer I had last time. I have not played Lies of P yet. What about anybody else?
Nope. Not me. Too many games, man.
Gameageddon? There's something called the Gameageddon again? What is this?
I remember when we used to have those all
What
the
time
time.
are we living in?
Yeah.
Is this
What time are we living in?
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's played it yet. So.
Oh wow! Manny, you're right about that. I remember, during the earlier days of Throwdown, we would have literally 3 Gameageddons a year. And this entire generation, we were complaining about the lack of games. Interesting how that's changed.
Yeah, maybe it's all coming to fruition, right? Finally these guys have gone through their 5 or 6 years of games, and now they're actually doing it. So actually put something out.
Yeah. We'll see. All right. This one's fun. Of all the games that have been canceled, which one do you feel had the biggest impact on gaming culture and discussion?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
I have an answer, but I'm gonna wait to see if you guys answer the obvious one.
E.T.
There you go.
PT.
PT, that's the cancel game that had the most influence. Think about it. Like, Resident Evil Village is ripping off of that. A bunch of all these horror games ripped off of it. Think about
a bunch of these horror games did it.
That it was just a demo, right? Had so much impact on all these other games.
At first, I thought Manny said ET, and I'm like, that got canceled in a different way.
Yeah, no, PT.
No,
PT, yeah.
PT. Playable teaser.
Yep. Crazy. It was like, wow. Go ahead.
I do have a question. So PT, why is it? So was it ever greenlit to be made into a full-fledged game?
No. It was only just at that point, it was just, again, it was a playable teaser as to something that was going to come eventually.
So
and Kojima himself had said that they haven't actually started making the game yet. It was just something to test the ideas out, which is kind of ballsy to essentially put that out like a game, pretty much a complete, pretty much they could have charged for that. Right? You could have charged a little bit of money for that, but just the ballsiness to just say, no, what this is just, it is what it is. It's just a little experience and you play through it and that's it. You either figure out how to complete it or you don't.
So it was technically never canceled then. It was just a demo.
Because Silent Hills was theoretically never not canceled because it never started.
Yeah, so technically, but I still think that game had a big impact on the industry without ever being released.
Definitely had it definitely had a big thing on the. But it's funny. Like, okay, so a lot of those things that you do in PT, where like Kojima said he wanted you to be able to, players to be interact and try to help to figure out what the secrets are in the game. That's actually something that Toyama did with Siren, the Siren game, the original one, where it was like things were not as clear. The storytelling has multiple different ways that it sort of goes. It has a little bit of that Bloodborne-y thing, that's from software thing, where it gives you multiple answers to the question, and it's sort of on you as to which one it is, which is the final answer. And then, coming together with, people online to try to figure out what the puzzle, what the mystery of the game is, or how to get past the level is. A lot of that Toyama did, the previous the director of Silent Hill. So fairly interesting that Kojima sort of did it in that, Silent Hill teaser-y game.
Yeah. Right. Any other canceled games that had a big impact on the gaming industry?
Can't think of any. I can think of canceled games, but nothing that had an impact like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when it's like, did Scalebound affect anything?
No.
I mean, hell, I was looking forward to 1313. That didn't affect anything.
No,
I was just pissed it was gone.
Yeah, that didn't affect anything.
Yeah.
Maybe Star Citizen when that gets canceled.
Oh, what affect everybody's wallet? Will it change the GDP?
No, man, that game is never gonna cancel. It's gonna continue to have its service.
Gonna keep sucking that money.
That's crazy.
That's how you do it.
Trying to think what else, other games that got canceled.
I don't know. Did Agent affect anything?
Or
Not
8
really.
days, Agent or 8 days.
No.
It had to. Oh well, there was one thing that Agent changed. It had to vacate its Game of the Year for that year.
Yeah. All right.
Down.
Did it have an impact on the industry though?
I mean, it wasn't even a game. I don't know what that was.
I mean, it's pretty much what Avowed is now. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Last two questions from Dumeke. All right. First up, rumors. By the way, I saw. The chat was going in on this, and unfortunately, this rumor came out on a Friday, so we weren't able to speak about it on the Thursday show. But we'll talk about it now. Rumors are that we're getting The Last of Us 2 remake and more God of War. Sony's roadmap of future releases has been shrouded in mystery for years now, and having these surface mixed in with the 10 games as a service games is a bit of a buzzkill. What is happening at Sony? But yeah, just a backpedal a little bit. So yeah, a rumor that is probably going to be true has surfaced that Sony is working on a remake of The Last of Us Part 2. And my response to this was, hey, at least they waited 3 years, because when it came to The Last of Us 1, you only had to wait 1 year for that remake. The first remake. The second remake came a few years later, obviously. So I'm not surprised by this. This is their kind of, this is the franchise they milk the most right now, The Last of Us. So I'm not too surprised by that at all,
Bro, that's not a rumor. That's just like Thanos. It is inevitable.
Yeah, exactly,
I was about to say, rumors, so it's a rumor that water is wet. I mean, I thought it was obvious. They remade the first one. It's so they remake the second one, because why the hell not? In the world where Resident Evil 4 has been remade and it exists on every single platform, and Skyrim exists on every single platform, they're going to do the same thing. So, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not surprised, and also it's kind of funny how it's just more Sony stuff. It's more Last of Us, more God of War. It's somehow Microsoft only is the only one that gets criticized for having the same games. Yet when Sony does the same games, it's kind of it's fine.
What I find
just want to put that out there.
No, I'm glad you bring it up, because I was thinking about it too. It's now. I was literally thinking about this as I read this question. I was just so Sony's becoming like Microsoft now, where they only have 3 core franchises, So it's happening.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Plus 10 live service games.
Yeah, we'll see about that. And again, we were asked a couple of weeks ago, what games, after Spider-Man 2, what are the big games that Sony is coming out with, right? Even the chat wasn't able to answer it. Wolverine.
If they're not completely dumb, there's a Ghost of Tsushima 2 somewhere in the works.
Yeah, but again, that hasn't even been announced. Of announced games, what does Sony have in the pipeline? Wolverine 2. Well, Wolverine. And if you want to have a gimme, even though it's third party, if you want to have a gimme, Final Fantasy Rebirth. That's still 2 games, So, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on over there. Are they just going to rely on The Last of Us now? And I don't know if we talked about this on the Thursday show. The fucking we did talk about it. The multiplayer, that's not coming. Effectively.
Yeah, they're going to give you more Last of Us, but not that.
Yeah, not that.
Speaking of canceled games that made an impact,
shit is crazy. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you. I don't know what's going on with PlayStation right now, man.
I think we're gonna have to suffer. I think I hate to say it, I think these 10 live service games are the next big thing. I think we have to get to the other side of that before we start to see a lot. I think after that, we're going to see some really great stuff from Sony, because I think that right now, all the internal pivoting that they're doing and all the things that they're starting we're going to see them later on. But I'll be honest. I think a year and a half from now, we're going to find out Jim Ryan's legacy was a shitload of online games.
Oh man, yeah. Maybe things will improve after he's gone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He'll leave. His tenure will run out, as we've talked about. The seeds that he planted. These 10 games are going to have to come through the pipeline. They're clogging the pipeline. They're what's standing between us and the shit that's coming afterwards. So unfortunately, I think that we're just going to have to bear it. Now, that being said, I'm being cynical. Maybe one of these 10 games is going to be really fun, man. Maybe one of these games is the next fucking Halo Online that. God, I'm dating myself on that one. Next fucking Fortnite, I don't fucking know, man. Maybe one of them is the next big thing, and it makes them a shit ton of money. Certainly hope not, because then I'm not really sure that they're ever going to steer away from it. But if Sony had Sea of Thieves, I virtually guarantee you they would be milking it so much differently. It's so easy to forget how many people play that game regularly still. It's like how many people you forget play PUBG kind of thing. You're oh, it still has a player base, right? an insanely large. Like I want to say it's at least 16 million active players.
Yeah. To answer your question, Sony would have abandoned it after the first year when it flopped.
Ooh.
It's
Fair,
just-
yeah.
I think Sony is, yeah, they do have that quote unquote strategy where the live service games are in the cusp, but they're still gonna release their first party sort of single player third person games that they're known for, because they know these live service games aren't approved product, so they're gonna hedge their bets and do sort of the same thing, just keep releasing the same types of games.
Yeah, but we're not. You don't think we're seeing any new? Like, actually, let me just strip. Do you think we're going to see any new IPs before these service games are out, or do you think it's just
No.
going to be business as usual plus live service games?
Yep.
It depends on what Wolverine means. Are we taking that?
I don't count that. It's Wolverine. No, that doesn't count.
Naughty Dog, we know they're gonna keep milking on The Last of Us. We don't know what they just canceled the multiplayer game, so we don't know what the hell's going on with there. But did they say that they're working on something new?
We should say, just to be safe here, we should say the multiplayer has effectively been canceled, but it hasn't been officially canceled.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But
to answer your question, no, not that I know of.
Yeah. So and I'm pretty sure Sony Santa Monica is working on God of War again. So I don't know. I don't think. I wouldn't expect them to release a new IP that's not a service game, a live service game. But who knows? But you guys mentioned the whole Last of Us 2 remake stuff. My Sony, and that's why they pissed me off. They're gonna release the Last of Us 2 remake like it's a huge release. Like, oh, we got Gran Turismo coming out in May, and then we got The Last of Us coming out in November. That's a huge lineup. They're gonna treat it like that, and it's gonna piss me off.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on there, man. All right. And the last question of the night. Oh boy. What is everyone's honest thoughts on the state of gaming? I mean, you kind of already know my thoughts if you've been hearing this podcast for the past few years,
It's okay. That's what I would say.
This year has gotten better for sure. We actually have games to talk about, but this generation has, been very disappointing. But it's been on that trajectory since last gen. If you've been doing the podcast for that long as well, that generation took a long time to get started. This one did, but this one even now. It's not. I would say now it's not as good as it was last gen, which is pretty bad because last gen wasn't that great either. There was some good stuff last gen. Don't get me wrong. 2017, 2018 were dope, and then that's it.
In general, it seems like just the wait time after the initial wave of titles has gotten a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, I mean, it wasn't that far into the PlayStation 4's lifetime that the way I sort of judge it is about when I decide to pull the trigger on the console, right? And like we got, what was it for PlayStation 2? We got a day and date, because we got the Kinect at that time. But it was a little
fair,
sparse.
we got our PS2 a year after it came out.
It was that what's that thing? We got that bundle.
Yeah, we got the bundle, yeah. Because the PlayStation 2 came out in 2000 and we got in 2001, like, late 2021. Yeah. Not ultimately like September-ish around.
Yeah, something like that. It was cold like now.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, like, and I feel like the 3, what was that? Like, when did the 3 come out? 2006?
2006, yeah. And I didn't get mine until late 2000. No, excuse me. I got mine early 2008, and you got yours just a couple months after I did. Yeah.
Yeah, 2008 around the release of MGS 4.
4, yeah.
So was it? Yeah. Well, so then that was like 3 years that one too, right? Because you bought it for Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. So, and by the time for me, it was like a year and a half, I guess. Yeah, I bought it for Grand Theft Auto, but I jumped in early, and then by the time I picked it up, day one, I picked up the whatever Ratchet and Clank game was out, Assassin's Creed, and Uncharted. I was like, "Ooh, this is good. I'm eating good right now," you know. But that was just literally a year after it came out already, 2007. The explosion of gaming. But then I got the PS4 day one, and it took a while, like for games to really start dropping for that.
Yeah,
It took a while for that. I remember, again, this is what I said about PlayStation 4. It wasn't until Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm talking for myself, that I got the first game that was unmitigatedly good. Like every game I was hyped for had some kind of fatal flaw. That entire generation so far. For example, Final Fantasy 16, the fatal flaw with that was the last third. Ironically enough, the fatal flaw for Metal Gear Solid 5 was also the last third. Every single game I was hyped for had something wrong with it. And Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out in 2017, was the first one where from beginning to end, I loved it the whole way through. I'm like, this is exactly what I've been waiting for in terms of story, gameplay, graphics. This is the shit, And then 2018 was also a good year, but then things fell off after that. 2019 sucked. 2020 was fucking terrible. 2021 wasn't that good. 2022 wasn't that good. 2023 we're finally getting some games. So yeah, it's very. We were asked this question a couple weeks. Not a couple months ago. Like, as your love of gaming diminished? At the time, I kind of half jokingly said, I haven't fallen out of love with gaming. It fell out of love with me because it's not giving me the games I want. But I think, yeah, I still love gaming. Like I'm playing some dope shit right now. But that comes very few and far between now. Those moments don't come as much as they used to, Don't let me, like I said, I played 3 great games in a row, fucking awesome games. But before that, it was like, when the fuck did Final Fantasy 16 come out? Like in June, So it was like an entire summer of nothing. And then like before Final Fantasy 16, I think it was the Jedi game, which is okay. I had some issues. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate was August.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just the games I played, But yeah, it's even this year, man. I mean, shit. I could list you the games I've finished. This is a mix of good and bad. First game I beat this year, which is a piece of shit. Forspoken. Star Wars. I played that. Street Fighter 6, which was the first. Like, oh shit, this game is fucking dope. Like great game. Final Fantasy 16. Phantom Liberty, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. I just beat that last night. And as you guys know, I'm also playing Spider-Man, but I cannot give you my opinion on that at the moment. But in general, but even then, this is still. Actually, no, it's turning out to be kind of like last year because this year I spent most of this year only having played 1 or 2 games. But if things go on a different trajectory, Spider-Man will be the next one added to this, and I still do plan to play Baldur's Gate and Starfield before this year's out. But I think that's it. I don't think there's any more games I'm interested in this year. If you can name any, please let me know. But I think
Revenge DLC
that already came out. Oh yeah, you're right. So the other games. Yeah, I guess. But the new games, I think that's it. I think Spider-Man's the last one for me this year. I mean, if there's let me know in the chat if I'm missing anything. It's very difficult for me to be excited about gaming. This generation overall. No surprise there. I've been bitching about this generation since before it began. In that epic Tony's Take rant I did when the PlayStation 5 was announced. Yeah, what about the rest of you guys, Carlos? Carlos, I think you and I are kind of similar in this respect.
Yeah, this year has definitely been an outlier in terms of just output of games that are worth playing, at least for me. But I will say this. I feel like we still haven't reached the point where we feel like, oh, this feels like a next generation game. I mean,
Mhm.
Starfield is a great game, but it doesn't feel like there's nothing that tells me it's like, oh, like this feels like a next gen game. You know, the only thing Phantom Liberty kind of does,
Oh yeah.
but I'm playing that on PC, so
Happy?
I'm not really. But we still haven't reached that crop of games where it feels like, wow, like this feels different. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with me with this generation so far. I mean, the output has always been there. I expected it. We started the generation with the pandemic years, so we knew that the first years are going to be barren in terms of video games. Now that we've gotten the video games, I feel like there still hasn't been those games that have sort of pushed the limits. And part of the generation, part of the highlights of the generation is just playing those experiences that you feel like are unique to the platform that you couldn't get before. And we're
Yeah.
still in that transition period right now.
Unfortunately. I want to read something too, Mecca said here. State of gaming right now seems to be acquisitions are as big news as AAA releases. AAA games have been stagnated a bit and with few risks being taken. Budgets are out of control. Fucking subs are changing gaming habit for the worse. People don't want to spend money but demand bigger games. Those are all valid points right there.
Yeah, that's actually very well said.
Yeah, I like that. I like the great points. Yeah, the whole acquisition thing has been an issue. I mean, think about it. That's been the biggest story of the year in the gaming sphere. Very interesting when he
More
says
than
about
the actual games.
yeah, But again, if we actually had games to talk about, we would be as focused on that. Subscriptions are changing gaming habits for the worst. People don't want to spend money but demand bigger games. That's a dig at Game Pass, obviously. I still don't know the effects of Game Pass. What they're going to be, if they're good or bad.
Well, I mean, Phil did say he wanted to lower the budgets for games.
Yeah.
So
By the way,
you're not gonna. So you're gonna get a AAA game, but you're not gonna get as AAA. But does it really matter? I mean, if you end up with a lot more games and some of them are actually better, good, like you have actually some good ones within the mix. Maybe it is a better thing than just instead of throwing all your eggs in one basket onto one super title and then in spreading that budget into maybe 3 or 4 smaller titles that take a little bit more of a chance. But
Yeah,
that's what former PlayStation guy said. So, and people got mad at him for saying that.
Yeah, Sean Layden.
yeah. I also want to.
Go ahead, Brett.
I just also want to throw out, like, I realize that's like a pretty direct zing at Game Pass and Microsoft, but like, just want to point out that you also accidentally put Baldur's Gate in your crosshairs with that too, and I'm not really sure if you want to be like historically on the opposite side of Baldur's Gate. Like, I don't know if do you really want to be one of those people that arguing that the people who think that we see more game like Baldur's Gate, like, do you really want to be arguing against that crowd?
I'm confused, Brett.
He's like, "Don't you talk about my Baldur's Gate, yo!"
When you say like people don't want to spend, people just want more game without spending more money. Like, I realize that's kind of a dig at subscription services and things like Game Pass, but like Baldur's Gate is also one of those being praised for the amount of stuff that it gives you without charging you, an obscene amount of money for it. It's so like I
That
get
is an outlier, though. To be fair,
It is an outlier, definitely.
I get that, but I'm saying, like, I don't think that the problem is that gamers want more game and they want to spend less money. Like, Elder Scrolls, like Morrowind was a fucking thing. Like, that's where Elder Scrolls really took off and built a name for itself. We've had games that have been huge forever. It's I don't know that, and like Ubisoft and their Assassin's Creed 150-hour bullshit, like, that's also not Game Pass. Like, I don't know that subscription services like Game Pass are really the problem with bloated, directionless games.
Yeah. Anyway, Brett, go ahead.
If anything, a subscription service means that they would want you engaging with the title for longer, so they would want, a game that you would want to be playing for 200, 300 hours, not something that like you're being forced to. Most of the time you get better results when you coax people towards games. And yeah, like subscription services and Fortnite, like you may not like it, but like the people who love Fortnite, bro, that's like their favorite fucking game.
Fortnite is free though. There's no subscription for that.
Okay, so like what subscription games are we doing? I assume we're talking about Game Pass, but like what else are we talking about here?
I'm just gonna go with Game Pass. Again, he's the one asking the question.
Okay, yeah. But like Final Fantasy doesn't fall into that category. If online MMO games don't fall into that category.
In my opinion, it should count. It's a subscription game,
Yeah, and okay, so like, how is Final Fantasy part of the problem with video guys? Like pre-orders, sure. Like how is Saints Row the problem or the fault of like fucking subscriptions? How are any of these terrible things that are coming out really like the? And I'm asking this. I'm not challenging you. I'm being like, how are subscription services the root of everything wrong with gaming? I am not following this.
Yeah. To make, if you want to answer, please go ahead. Anyway, while I do that, Brett, why don't you tell us, your thoughts on the state of gaming?
I mean, this year it's doing real fuck. I mean, honestly, I feel like where the pendulum is starting to swing back the other way. I've played a ton of great games this year, and I've seen companies treating gamers really well. Like, not all of them, it's not a monolith, but like, fuck, man, I saw Remnant 2, a game that could have easily charged you $70, but instead decided to charge you $10 less and come out at $50 with one of the most must-play experiences of the fucking year. And then, it's the same year I got fucking Baldur's Gate. Like, I'm pretty happy. I'm eating well, and companies, for the most part, are treating us really well. We seem to have a lot of people that get service. Cyberpunk is fixed, for the most part. Companies are not announcing things 10 years out. Like, we are doing better now than we were several years ago. Are we at a place where I really want to see yet? No, but we're on the upswing. And I personally am excited for things like, if we are talking about like streaming games like Game Pass kind of services, like I'm excited, man. I've been on this podcast for fucking years talking about Sega Channel and how I had that shit when I was a kid. It was the best fucking thing ever. Right? Like I'm motherfucking consistent. Unless the Game Pass just completely sucks and there is nothing to show on it, then for the most part, like this is just the realization of a dream I've had since I was a fucking kid, and we're getting great games on there. Like, bro, like I have not been able to. I'm still playing Starfield. Liza P is on there for free. I never got to. I never finished the fucking rhythm game, and then there's that fucking. I forget the name of it. It's the other Star game.
Hi-Fi Rush.
There's Hi-Fi Rush, and then there's the
Sea of Stars.
What's that?
Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars, yeah. Sea of Stars, like, there's tons of games on there. More games that I can actively play. Like, I have things on my bucket list things on my wait list of games to play. And I haven't even really gone through looking for games. These are just games I'm like, fuck, I gotta play several of these things. So, I'm eating well. I'm getting free games. And some of the best games I've played in a long time. I have companies releasing things catering to me and offering me fan service and setting an example, and then the rest of the industry taking notice and being like, maybe that's why people like it so much. Like, companies are actually starting to figure out, like, hey, if you really just be overly nice and give customers exactly what they're asking for, it seems to work. So I'd argue that we are better than we've been in 5-10 years.
I will say that there's not that many companies that are learning any lessons. I mean, maybe you.
No. I'm not saying that they've learned their lessons. I'm just saying, like, we have been able to correctly hold up good examples and say why these examples are doing good. Like we've at least identified, and we've been holding up Baldur's Gate. We've been like, look, these are the reasons that people like this game. Everybody fucking take note. So it may lead to nothing, but again, objectively, like looking back, like if anything else, you have to look back and be like, how many games have I been playing lately, and how much have I been enjoying them? Honestly, the only thing that seems to be worse is fucking Twitter. Like, oh my god, everything around gaming is 100% worse, but the gaming itself hasn't been bad, man. I've been getting, like I said, not only games that I enjoy, but more games that I enjoy that I've been able to play, and half of them are fucking free. How does it get better than that?
I feel like this year is unsustainable.
It's not going to last. Yeah, we're going to get back to bullshit eventually.
Next year, I doubt next year is going to have anywhere near the same output that this year did. So, all we can do is ask for, can you release, a couple of games every quarter, a game or two every quarter that, a lot of people, at least for me, that I'm looking forward to, that would be great. But yeah, we just reached a point where, and last generation, as shitty as it was, it had 2017.
Yeah, 2017 and 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a period of a year or two where we did get a lot of great games, and it could be this year. It could be this year and next year for this generation. If I'm optimistic as Brett is, hopefully it carries throughout the whole generation. But I know I can't really realistically look at it and think this is the trend. I can only see it as no, this could potentially be an outlier. Because think about all of the games that are coming out that everyone's loving. Baldur's Gate 3, that's a Larian game. They made Divinity Original Sin and 2. Those are games that people love. So of course there's still a quality studio that makes quality games. Starfield, it's a Bethesda, it's a mainline in quotation, mainline Bethesda game. What's the last mainline Bethesda game? It was Fallout 4. It was a great game. Before that, Skyrim. It's a great game. Surprise, surprise, Starfield's a great game. So it could be that we're just getting an output from developers that we can trust. Phantom Liberty, is CD Projekt Red here. What else? I don't know, but most of the great games that have been made this year that people talk about, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. It's another fucking Zelda game. Surprise, surprise! It's a great Zelda game. People love it. So, it's. I feel like we reached a point where all the stars are aligning, and a lot of the great studios of gaming are releasing games this year. So, I wouldn't expect it to carry on as consistently throughout the rest of the generation. But maybe that's just me being really pessimistic.
What you call pessimistic, I call realistic. Chris, state of the industry, in your opinion.
And I don't know. I mean, we're just talking about this generation, or
this generation.
Right now?
Yeah, I mean this generation and right now, whatever, either.
Well, I mean, things have gotten somewhat better, but this generation's been terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it started off terrible. It's been weak for years, and a lot of the expectations were not met. And it's only now we're starting to shake off the cross-generational stuff. We're starting to see things take advantage of the hardware more, not needing too much parity. But it took a while to get here, so we'll see what's coming in the short term. I think Sony's going to do a mid-gen refresh. I don't know when. I'm assuming I'm only guessing when Nintendo will announce the next system. Probably next year, but I don't know if they count in this, because like while they moved in their own world, there's all this other stuff happening where Microsoft, Sony, and PC are competing in one area and they're in another area. But in terms of like game quality, like things now are improving. Like I'm looking forward to more stuff. I've been kind of pleased this year with the offerings. Like I loved Dead Space, love Resident Evil 4. Um, ho- hopefully, Farm will grace us with Elden Ring DLC. I've been waiting for that.
Yeah.
I'm not an Armored Core guy. Like I heard this Armored Core is different or whatever, but I'm not into that series, so I didn't try it out. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man 2. I want to play that. I will play Starfield eventually. I haven't gotten to it yet, but there's a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, this is good. This is good. Like, there's a lot of choices. So I think things are looking up now, but it took a while to get here. And this generation, if you look at everything before it, like, yeah, I never had such a poor start to a generation that lasted so long. Like even PS2, as amazing as a generation it was, like in the beginning when I bought PS2, almost near its launch, the offerings were kind of weak, but they didn't take long for
Yeah.
great stuff to come out. You know, and you could say that, and you couldn't really say that with the cartridge stuff, like Super Nintendo, everything, Genesis, everything started kind of strong back then. But uh, look at now with PS5 and the Series S and X, like it's been pretty weak up until this point.
Yeah. Brian, go
Real
ahead, and then Brian could give us his thoughts.
quick, something I want to mention. Tony, in regards to something that you talked about, it kind of sparked something. You said I didn't fall out of love with gaming. It kind of fell out of love with me.
Yeah.
And I kind of I've thought about that because it's not the first time you said that. I've thought about whether do I love video games anymore? Because sometimes I feel like when we talk throughout the years, it's like, oh, every year it's like, oh, maybe one or two or three games came out that really piqued my interest. Maybe I'm just because and then Brian and Brett and Adam will talk about like 20 different games that they liked throughout the year. And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm just a begrudgingly old man that doesn't really love games like he used to. But I've noticed this year is a lot different. I've been playing a shit ton of video games. At least the second half of this year. Played Armored Core, Cyberpunk, and the DLC, Starfield, and I'm gonna play, what's it called? Sea of Stars, and I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate, and I played Final Fantasy 16 and all that stuff. So, this year is just a prime example where it sort of serves true what Tony said. It still can get us back. I feel like at first I felt like I kind of lost touch with gaming, but the years like this, it's made me sort of go back to that spot, and I haven't felt like that in a long time. I mean, I've felt it in batches and in pieces, like with Elden Ring and with a Monster Hunter and God of War and stuff like that, but never this consistently, and where I'm just like, I'm gonna be playing games throughout the end of the year. I'm going to freaking New York, and I'm going to play games while I'm in New York because I want to play Baldur's Gate.
Steam Deck,
boys.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's like when you get that game that hits, man, you're good. You get that same feeling you always had. Again, I just finished Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm like, this is fucking great. It was like, this is exactly what I wanted. When I was playing Cyberpunk, I'm like, this is the shit. So like, if I had really lost my love of gaming, those games could be exactly the same, but I would be like, this isn't that good. Like, no, when done well, this shit hits good. Kind of going back to something J Shep said, and other people too, because it is a pattern. People say that I'm hard to please. I don't think I am. I think, like, just give me something good and I'll be happy. But we're not, for my estimation, we're not getting as much good. But when that good comes, it's great. So yeah, no, this year has definitely, I'm like, oh, I'm actually playing games again and being happy with the games I'm playing. So yeah, so that's why that phrase just came to me. It's like, no, I haven't fallen out of love with games. I still like it. I still like sitting down in front of my TV with a controller playing a fun game. I love it. You know, but
I mean,
but again, it's like I haven't consistently. I think that's the key phrase. I've been consistently be getting the experiences I want, and admittedly, because the experiences I want take a long fucking time to make. You know me, I like the big blockbuster AAA games. You know, and I don't really want to subject myself to something lesser. Like I'm already used to this standard. I don't want to go down. In some case, like unless it's like a nostalgia game, sure. You know, Shredder's Revenge, but that makes me happy, you know? But I'm not going to play, like, you know, when I play shit like Death's Door, The Ascent, fucking Hades, like, what the fuck is, like, this is what I'm supposed to be happy with? I'm supposed to just be content with this? When I want to play something big, like, no, I want a burger. No, just be content with some fries and a little bit of cheese on them. Like, no, I want some fucking meat, you know? And now we're finally getting some meat this year. Yeah.
And also, I would like to mention, I feel like this year has been a year where we've talked more about games than probably like the last.
Despite all that Activision bullshit, you know.
Yep.
Despite all,
You know?
yeah. Blitz says, "What's good though? Good to me." That's what it means, man. Because it's a subjective thing, obviously. But just make something that's good quality, and I'll be happy. It's not that fucking hard, you know. But it seems that we're just not been getting too many of those that lives up to my standard. You know, I will say this though. Gaming, despite all the shit I've been saying about gaming, I still think gaming is still in a far better state, in my opinion, than fucking TV and movies and print. Those things are just like fucking horrible right now, you know? But no, gaming, hey, Carlos, I want to go back to something you said though, because it does upset me a little bit. I think you're right, man. I think this year might be like, this is probably as good as it's going to get this generation.
Yeah,
We're still gonna get good games. Don't get me wrong. Just like we had good games before this year, right? Elden Ring, right? You know, God of War. We still had some good games this generation before this year. But I think you're right. Start next year is going to be one or two games I'm happy with. You know.
Yeah,
but,
and then Sony, and going back to the whole Sony thing, they're not outputting as many big games that they used to. I mean. Remember we used to get like Spider-Man and God of War in the same year.
Yeah, no, you're right. You know, and again, I realize there's a million other little indie games and stuff. But again, it's not a matter of like, Tony, you need to try them. I have tried them. I spent most of my career playing those games. They don't hit the same way. They just don't. I'm just not wired that way. You know, shout out to those games. I'm glad I'm actually legit happy that people have Game Pass to, you know, try a smorgasbord of games. That's fantastic. Doesn't work for me. I had Game Pass for like almost 2 years, 3 years in a row, whatever. I barely played this shit because I'm not that kind of person where I'm going to be like, I would never have tried this game, but since it's on disc, I'm going to try it. No, if I was not interested in the game to begin with, I'm not going to try it. It doesn't fucking matter. You know, if it's $30 or $60, if I'm not interested, I'm not playing it, you know? And yes, I do realize I have very specific tastes, but I'd rather play 2 or 3 games that hit the spot than play 50 games that leave me disappointed in the end or leave me wanting for more, you know? That's like going to a fucking concert and shit for a band you don't even like. Yeah, you get the ambiance, you get the people and the fucking sounds and the lights and shit, but the substance isn't there. What you really want isn't there, you know? And I don't think you should be settling for nothing, you know? Blitz, don't worry, man. I'll get to your comments in a bit, to your answer to Brett's questions. Anyway, I went off on a rant there. Brian, state of the industry. What are your thoughts?
Oh, this is where Brian kicks in. I don't think it's in a very good state at the moment. Granted, it's in a better state than it has been over the last couple of years, but even then, I don't think it's in a good state. There's lots of very unhealthy things happening that's very concerning. Again, the biggest one that comes to mind is Tencent, how it's just acquiring so many things and has its hands in so many pies that it's almost like an infection that's just spreading. And I know how bad that sounds, but at the same time, that is how it feels to me. Like, oh yeah, Tencent has 8% in this company, or 10% in that company, or X% in this company. And it just seems to be like, what game studio isn't partly owned by Tencent at this point? It's it's oddly concerning. And I know people will throw up, okay, but what about with Microsoft and Activision? That's kind of like the other way around. Activision came to Microsoft, and that's how that happened. It's not like, again, Microsoft went out of the way to get Activision. So I see that as slightly different, even though I still don't think it's a good thing in the grand scheme of things, because it's just going to mean that if or when Microsoft goes down, then it's going to take out a lot of stuff with it, and that's what concerns me. And the same thing with Tencent. Like if that goes down, or if that has restructuring, like what we've seen with Embracer Group, yeah, then lots of studios are going to be in big trouble. And again, with fewer studios around, you get fewer games, and obviously that's a massive problem. I think AAA is in a is heading down a road that I seen it head down, and I don't like back in PS3 days, which is its need to chase for graphics. And I know Tony loves his graphics, that's fine, but I don't think it's healthy at all, because it just means that more of these companies are going to wind up spending more and more money just trying to chase the graphics. And again, we're going to see budgets just ballooning even more than what they are now. And it's not sustainable, because then it means that these games need to recoup so much cost back, which either means that the games themselves will have to be altered in such a way that they can recoup that cost. So far, we're seeing it with $70 games. And then we're still getting the usual stuff of pre-order bonuses and DLCs and all sorts. And I think all that is just going to get worse in some degree for the AAA games. The indie games, for the most part, is all right, but they have a big problem with just not all of them, but because again, there's so many of them, but there's a big chunk of them that kind of rely on nostalgia, and it's not going to last because by the time that the people now get in a position where they're making the games, they'll be making games on their nostalgia, which happens to be other people's nostalgia, which means that won't have anything concrete to base the stuff on, which we're kind of seeing with stuff like films, whereas like the films and TV shows now are kind of trash because the people that are writing them now, they're based on the nostalgia of other people, and hence it's kind of like second hand or third hand, I guess. Information being passed along, and it's just not going to serve well. And a lot of indie games have that problem. So again, you get seeing lots of boomer shooters and pixel art games, but at the same time, they don't really do anything else. And then I'm not even going to talk about the indie games that just focus on sad times and death. It's like, okay, fine, you want to do that, that's fine. I know Tony knows what I'm talking about.
That's why I'm laughing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like, I have nothing against it. But at the same time, it's like, there's a whole spectrum of human emotions that you can base games on. Just basing it on one part of that spectrum. No, it's true. There's joy, there's fear, there's laughter, but it just seems to be just death and depression. It's like, we get it, It's like, you don't need to remind us of our mortality. Or maybe people like that because then it gets them over grief. Totally fine, no issues. But at the same time, I think I would just like a bit more variation in what type of games they do make.
Hey, Brian?
And in the grand scheme of things, I think, again, as Carl said, around the 2017, 2018 was when it was like at its really good peak, or one of the other peaks. And since then, it's just been going downhill slowly and steadily. And I don't know what will stop this peak. Granted, the last couple of months have been surprisingly good. I mean, all of you guys have said as such. But as Tony said, what's coming after this? It's that point where like Bitcoin fell from like 60,000 to 12,000, and now it's gone up to 18,000. It's like, yeah, it's gone up, but then we all know that once it goes up a tiny bit, chances are it's going back down again. So I don't know what is happening after this point, because again, I have no faith in Sony whatsoever. Whatever they are doing, I don't think it's going to work, and it could bite them really hard Hopefully, whoever comes in after Jim Ryan can help with that. But honestly, it's going to be like a Phil Spencer type thing where they're going to take like 2-3 years to really start shifting into that new phase. I don't know how much damage can be done in that phase. Now, I'm not saying that Sony will go bankrupt or whatnot. No, I'm just saying that I just have really... I'm not confident in whatever Sony will be putting out. Granted, they'll put out, again, God of War, Last of Us, probably another Horizon game or something. Again, they'll put those out, but at the same time, I have no interest in those games, and that's what scares me, because back in the PS3 days, PS2 days, Sony was just like giving out so much variety in games. Now it just seems like it's just going to be the same homogenous games, and then these 10 Lifesavers games also just scare the crap out of me. Because it's like, we've all seen that Lifesavers games are very hit and miss, and the ones that survive are either incredibly popular and are supported well, and the ones, and also it's possible to start off with a rocky start and then get better. But again, do we really have faith that PlayStation will support games post-launch like that? Like, we'll do what No Man's Sky did, or do what Cyberpunk did, or do what Bethesda did with Fallout 76. Do we really see them do that? Like, no, chances are they'll release it, say, okay, it's not doing so well, and then just ignore it. So that's why I'm really concerned about this. And how much impact that will have in Sony, I have no idea. It could be a case that they make these 10 games and they all just sink, and then they turn around and say, okay, we're not doing that again. And then they go back to what they usually do, which again could be a good thing in the long run. But I honestly have no idea. And that's why I think gaming's in a very bad state. And that's without even talking about all the other crap like pre-order bonuses and battle passes and microtransactions and all that. And I'm not even going to talk about mobile games. That's a whole bunch of just disgustingness that I don't like. So yeah, it's in a very odd state at the moment. And that's why I've been playing Shadow of Mordor, because to me that's still the only next gen game out there.
Yeah.
I know it's like 2 gens old, but at the same time, I'm playing Starfield, and it's like, why does it feel like Starfield's somehow released before Shadow of Mordor? Like, it feels weird. You know, like every single game that I've played recently has just been a situation of, how is it not as good as Shadow of Mordor to some degree, or how is it not move things forward more than Shadow of Mordor? Like, I still haven't seen a game that's moved things more than Shadow of Mordor, and that's the thing that really gets me. It's like this game was like running on like hardware that are worse than phones, but yet still does so much stuff better, and it's just really concerning me. And yeah, that's why I think that the state of games is just kind of meh. Regarding subscription services, I'm kind of just like in the middle. It's like, yeah, they exist. I can see the benefits, I can see the drawbacks, but honestly, I don't think they're going to have a negative effect on things. As long as there's still a version that's not limited to it, then I don't think it'll have that much effect. Again, people can still have the option of buy it physically or buy it digitally without having to go through the sub. So as long as that still exists, then that's great. Once that stops, then problems will start. But even then, I think there's still other big problems, such as the price of games, budget of games, how Nolan North is no, it's not Ted Baker. What's the Troy Baker?
Troy Baker,
How
he's in
those
everything.
guys are just in everything. I hate that, because then you just start a game and it's like, oh yeah, it's Troy Baker. It's like, it's not the character anymore. It's Troy Baker. It's like, there's more than 4 people that can voice act. That also gets me as well. And obviously that's without talking about the obvious elephant in the room. Tony knows what I'm talking about there.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but yes, the thing that's infecting all of media, but yeah, save that for another time.
The bee sting that got Mary Jane. Let's say that. That's actually a really good, nice one. Yeah. The bee sting that got Mary Jane. That's a whole other kettle of fish, but I think that's other problems. So yeah, I don't. I'm not happy with things. You know, I don't think I've had a game that has wowed me since Shadow of Mordor.
The fact
before
that you're
God of
going
War
back to
3.
Shadow of Mordor says a lot, Brian.
That's the thing. It's like it's just not wowed me to the point where I just want to play more because I find it interesting and I like it. It's just kind of like it's been good, but I've not felt that I played a game that's been great. Even Cyberpunk, it was good. It has lots of good things about it. But again, the performance problems, the bugs was a massive problem, and the whole perks. Again, this was back in launch, so obviously I've not gone back since then. The perks were kind of a bit made no sense. I didn't like how they tied stats to clothing. So it just kind of like.
Yeah, they got rid of that finally, you know.
It's like those races where like some guy does like really well, and then like at literally the last couple of steps they fall over, and then it's like, oh, that's disappointing. You know, like you clearly had a win there, but then you decided to do all this nonsense. So yeah, I am not all that excited. The Steam Deck was exciting, you know, that was nice, but yeah. And then just hearing what the future is, and everyone just saying, "Oh yeah, there's just Wolverine and Microsoft Vaporware." It's like, okay, that's not a good start.
Yo, man, we got Fable coming up.
Yeah, vaporware, like Brian just said.
We'll see. We'll see.
Vaporware. Yeah.
Carlos, when you said that they have Fable, I did the face that she did. The Fable woman did.
Oh man, Manny, thoughts? Gaming industry. You're muted.
It's a whole lot of meh right now. I mean, I think I said this before. The biggest sign of, at least for me, for the state of gaming is that there's nothing that's exciting me enough to make the decision to buy a console. Only reason why I'm buying a console is really to play Spider-Man, but there's no other thing that, like, I'm trepidatiously doing it.
Yeah.
Because I want to play that game mostly, and that's about it. But I mean, does it mean it's working? No, it's more like I'm just like, all right, I'll just go with this one because it's got at least one thing I want to play. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's, like, even to this day, like you know, going on to the previous generation, at least for, you know, still have a PlayStation 4, and it still ends up having the things that I want to play on it, you know. Like, even going to the, you know, do I really need to buy Metal Gear for the PlayStation 5? Not really, because it's coming to PlayStation 4 as well. So I don't know. That's my deal on it. There's no wowing factor. There's just a lot of like it just feels like more of the same from the PlayStation 4 generation. You know, obviously you know, maybe I'm picky, maybe, you know, but the thing is that, like, you know, it's nice to see that like people are all enjoying Baldur's Gate, but that's not a game that I want to play, you know. And also, there's no making a decision on that one, right? You could get it on a PC or you can get it on anything else, you know. Or, well, you know, most of the next generation stuff, and I don't care for Cyberpunk, didn't care for it when it started, you know. So there's just not anything in my range that's really just sort of interesting me, and there's no thing for any of the consoles, at least for now, that's just saying this is why you need to own it, and it hasn't had that moment, you know.
Yeah.
Retrade, and then again, like, and then when you hear a situation where you're like, they're all like, oh yeah, 4K gaming, and I'm looking at, like, you know, Digital Foundry's thing for Assassin's Creed Mirage, where they're not those
Which
things
is a last gen game, by the way.
which is a last gen game, which, number one, can't run all of the ray tracing options unless it's in supposed quality mode, and it can't run at 60 frames per second, not in 1080p. So what's the thing? Like, who? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's any of the things that they're sort of promising It's just like more of the same with a little bit of whatever the little bit of bells and whistle that is the ray tracing ability.
Yeah. Hey, Brett, real quick, because you asked Blitz, about Game Pass and all that. So he says, I just hate subscriptions across the board. And he said he never said that it was the sole destroyer of gaming. It's just adding to it, in his opinion.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like, again, this isn't a gotcha thing. I'm actually trying to have a conversation here because, like, so here's where I genuinely don't understand where this is coming from, because I've heard this from other people, and at the risk of putting words in your mouth, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. I understand a lot of people think that subscriptions are bad for games, but I kind of want to come at it from the opposite point of view. Like, we've come from decades where, like, most of a game's profit is made within 24 hours of it being released. And so it is like, or, at the very least, like the first week. So, like, it is incredibly, game companies are incredibly motivated to be disingenuous and dishonest and try and get you to pre-order the game, get your money before you know what you're getting, to hold back reviews and critiques and things like that. Like, that made for an environment where you basically intentionally got left holding the bag on broken or misrepresented products, and they still got out scot-free with all of the money. And you may say, well, they did damage to their brand, and I would respond, they don't give a fuck. That's why, where most of these horror, I mean, look at the fucking Marvel game that had just, the Marvel Live Service game, like, they have no problem ruining their own reputation. Whereas now, on the other hand, where at least with any kind of service games, like, you are looking for the motivation there is you want people to enjoy themselves, that they come back enough and that they keep coming back. Like, yeah, you could say that incentivizes unsatisfying or drawn out gameplay, but, like, is that really a worse incentive than to just blatantly misrepresent your product and then not satisfy your customer at all? Because I'd say, like, it's the lesser of two evils. And even then, like, you still want your customer to enjoy something enough that they come back. Like, you may be padding stuff out, and there have definitely been, people guilty of padding things out. But again, most of the times when companies pad stuff out like that, it's because they also have microtransactions, and they're trying to pad it out to the point where it's no longer enjoyable enough that you actually go and then buy these microtransactions. Like, there's a sweet spot where it's still enjoyable enough to keep playing, but it's frustrating having to do all this grinding, right? Like, but without those microtransactions, they're not really incentivized to put you in that place where everything is so incredibly padded out. And even on non-service games like fucking Assassin's Creed, man, it's technically not a service game, but because it has those microtransactions, it is padded out. So I don't know that necessarily being a service game and having, like, padded gameplay go hand in hand, because, I mean, if you look at the kind of data, like, they don't always go hand in hand, and there's not really a high correlation. So it may feel that way, but the data wouldn't really kind of suggest that in hindsight. So, so I get what you're saying. Like, subscription games feel like their motive is just to hook you and then drag you, but isn't honestly, like, their motivation trying to get you to engage with the product and then keep engaging with the product? Like, that's one of the better options, right? Like, what am I missing here? Why is that the more nefarious option?
This is what he replied to a couple of minutes ago. Subscriptions are bad, period. I hate TV subscriptions too. He says, here in New Zealand, if you buy a game and it sucks, you have 7 days to take it back for a full refund.
Is that like a thing? Like, if you get it off, like, PlayStation or Xbox, like, their service, like, it's a national
he buys physical games, so
okay. And it's cool that you have a retailer that does that, but not every retailer is going to let you go buy unopened electronics and then return it within a week because you didn't like it. Like, that's like honestly, that's a GameStop thing. Are you shopping at GameStop?
No, he says in New Zealand. I guess that's the thing over there.
Yeah, I'm saying, are you shopping in a New Zealand GameStop, or is that a national New Zealand thing, or is the retailer that you're shopping from also have that policy? Because I know that's specifically a GameStop policy.
Yeah, I'll give him a little bit.
Most retailers, at least in the U.S., so like I don't know if it's a New Zealand thing. But most retailers
he says it's a thing in most places down there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's open electronics. Really, that's wildly different. That's awesome. That is definitely not here. It is the general rule is on all electronic stuff. If it's opened, no refunds.
Yeah.
That's almost every single big box retailer, with the exception of GameStop.
And Best Buy. Best Buy, you can return after a couple of days.
You can return up to like a week for just not liking it.
Yeah, I think you can do laptops and all that stuff.
I meant video games. Like a lot, like you can't go into a Walmart and be like, "Yeah, I bought this video game here and I don't like it," and expect them to give you they'll be like, "Does it function?" Well, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah. To be fair, though, you did say electronics first.
That's fair. I that's fair. I meant the context of video games, but you got me there.
It is interesting though. Like for example, we're talking. Brett, you mentioned the point where, most of the sales are in the first week, and it's really likely that people are paying $70 for a game that is trash or doesn't work or something, and they to your point, it sold a copy, they get the money, and they made out like a bandit.
To be fair, that's what happened with Cyberpunk. It sold 15 million copies, like when it first came out, and it's in that state,
And then for the PS4 and Xbox One versions, motherfucker, we're leaving your ass behind.
Yeah, exactly. But that wasn't until a month later or something like that.
Yeah.
So and to the company, like, oh, it's a success,
Yeah, and the opposite. Let's say that happens in what's it called? For example, Game Pass. There's 10 million people who try out X game. Let's say it's Redfall. It's trash. It doesn't work. People got scammed, but it's like, oh, the engagement. It's got 10 million impressions, 10 million unique players. It's a success.
I think that they're going to do more than look at that data. They're going to look at engagement fall off. Like
they sell us though.
What's that?
Whenever that's the data they sell us. Every time they talk to the consumer, they're always like, "Oh, this game did 10 million unique players."
Yeah, well, one is marketing and one is things that they base decisions off of. I wouldn't say they're the same thing at all. Like the data, they'd be like, 10 million people engaged with Redfall. That doesn't mean behind the curtains they're being like, oh, Redfall did good. They're like, yeah, 10 million people engaged with Redfall for 20 minutes each, and then nobody ever turned it on again. That's a pretty steep drop off and pretty indicative of a failure of a product, especially if you're looking to maintain numbers.
Yeah, but even you said like the measurement for success is engagement. And that's the only thing. That's why me and Tony, for example, we can never say like a game is successful in the Game Pass model because we don't have access to those types of statistics. The only thing that they tout is the engagement number or the unique players, and then people are saying, oh, well, it must be a success because it got 15 million people playing it, and we have no clue if those 15 million people played it for a minute, an hour, or more.
But they know that, and they're basing their decisions off of internal metrics that they're not sharing with us. That's what I'm saying. Like we get the marketing, we get the sales pitch of 10 million people engaged with it, but they're not looking at that behind the curtains, being like 10 million people engaged with Redfall, so we're going to make a Redfall 2. No, they look at it and they're like, Redfall was awful, and everybody hated it, and we're not doing that again.
Hey, but it finally got 60 FPS mode.
Ooh, yeah. Woohoo. Talk about too little too late.
Oh, man.
This whole thing with streaming is just interesting because we're kind of still at the cusp of what the ramifications are going to be of it. Because even if we just look at the TV and the Netflix, Hulu, and all that stuff, that's not a really profitable business for a lot of companies. So it's just interesting to see how Microsoft is able to be to get ahead of it, because Disney Plus is something that's eating money. HBO Max or whatever it's called now.
Yeah,
is
Max,
eating,
fucking stupid.
like,
Stop changing
there's
the
a
name of
lot.
shit if it's already well known. X,
Netflix is notorious for spending just as much as their revenues for their services. So it's like it's just interesting to see how Microsoft is able to make this a model that can put them ahead. And if it's Microsoft, they have to make money. I'll cut it.
I mean, didn't they say that they started turning a profit a while ago?
For Xbox Game Pass, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's making money.
It could be for 1 year. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yes,
Well, okay, so like, I don't know a great way to put this
$70
question, so I'm just
billion
going to be
in
tactless about it. Like, why does that matter? Like, are we just in terms of like wondering how successful it is?
Yeah, because we want to know that stuff. Again, before all Game Pass came around to muddy things up, we knew a clear metric of a game's success. It sold this many, it's successful. Now with Xbox, like, hey, bro, take our word for it. It's like,
yeah, but again, like, take this the right way. Like, that's a you problem. That's not like a real, like, things have existed. Like, MMOs have existed with subscription passes forever, and really all that they care about is their profit margins. They don't give a shit whether or not you're able to quantify their success. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't.
No, I mean, to be honest,
but that's conflating two different things, though. I'm not talking about.
Yeah, because
I'm not talking about a single game. I'm talking about what is the success of this subscription service. Understand?
And again, they know the success because they can see the profit behind closed doors.
I can't see it though. That's the problem.
For you, that's it. But again,
and for all of us, because we can't properly gauge how successful this stuff really is. Look how Disney was fudging the numbers for fucking Ahsoka, saying there was 24 million people watching it. That was a fucking lie, By the way, you know how they did that? They're like, oh yeah, there were probably 5 people watching it per household, so that's how we got that number. You see what I'm saying? Like, they could fudge shit like that, dude.
Yeah, so it's like the thing about it's not not only that, it's like it's also about how sustainable is this.
Well, and again, like
like, in other words, where like we constantly hear about stuff like Netflix is always is teetering on the razor's edge, of whether they're profitable or not profitable. So there's more money going into their project and less coming back. Now, the thing is, yes, obviously, this is the future for Microsoft. But again, if they're constantly bleeding money on these projects, how sustainable is it, and how long will it last? You should be worried about that. To be honest, Brett. Like,
why should I be worried about that?
Because if Game Pass fails, they're going to take it away. That's why.
Yeah, and it's not going to be there. It's going to go to the wayside as a lot of the other services. All the services at this point in time are all having a bunch of issues. They're all saying we need to cut back. We need to do this. We literally had a giant strike by the writers and the actors that are going on right now, which also factors in all of this stuff. So can this thing be sustainable? Obviously we still haven't reached that point. Yeah, they say they're making a profit, but it's not. If it's not making it directly onto their financials, that means that they're not making that much of a profit. Because if it was making so much money, they'd have put that shit right on the front of the damn thing. Be like, yo, we're doing it with this, but it's everything else.
Okay,
that's freaking.
Let me get here. I get that, but like the part where I'm confused is like we seem to be using it interchangeably. Like we were talking in the context of like Microsoft being motivated to do certain things different on subscription games than on selling games because they're motivated to keep their numbers high as opposed to try and just get high numbers, right? But then we effortlessly shift into, well, we're not getting those numbers. Like, well, again, they're getting those numbers and they're using those numbers to establish their future sales trends. And if they don't, like, if they tell us that they're making profit and everything's okay, yeah, we can sit there and be like, but what if they're lying to us? But for Throwdown's general tendency to engage with, or to not engage with hypotheticals, that feels a lot like playing pool with invisible balls. Like, to sit there and be like, well, I know that they're saying that they're profitable, but what if they're not profitable? And how is that going to affect the future of the industry?
No,
like, bro,
we're not. I'm not saying that at all.
It's not what if they're.
I'm not saying that. I'm
what
not
if
saying
they're
that.
not.
That's way too hypothetical. I'm saying, cool. Can I see those numbers, please?
and
That's
they
it.
say no.
Okay, well then I think they're fucking assholes. Then
I mean, yeah, and I'm saying, and
the whole lying aspect. I'm not saying they're lying. I just want to know the numbers. That's it. I just want to know the numbers. You know.
Well, I want to know the numbers too. But
to be honest, the game.
Hold on.
Manny, let him finish.
Yeah.
We're talking about how they're going to direct the future of the company based off of the data that they're getting back. Like, just because we're not getting that data, again, doesn't mean that they're not getting that data. And so when we're talking about like the difference in motivation on a subscription service between them wanting to maintain subscriptions, like, I know that they can't see. Well, I mean, actually, they can see per game how you're spending your time. So if you have a subscription, they can look at what you're playing to justify that subscription. So they can even see per game what you're spending your time on. And I'm not sure what internal algebra they fucking do to equate that to what that means sale power wise, but they obviously have a metric to be judging, not just retention rate, but what your engagement is on. Like, not just that he's on Game Pass, but he's on Game Pass and he played 2 hours of Life is Pi and an hour of Starfield this week, which is 30% up from what it was last week, which is also in and of itself 50% off of what it was this time last year when we had X amount of games out. Like, they have all that data. They can. I trust a company that basically helped fucking invent modern computing as we know it, to like be able to deal with that data. Like,
I don't care about that, Brett. I don't care about that. I just want to see the numbers. I don't give a shit how they do things.
And
I just want to see the numbers.
That's not how we walked into this conversation. We literally walked into this conversation. Oh my god. I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills here. We literally walked into this conversation talking about the difference in motivation between a single sale game and a live service, and how that affects live service games to want to have a higher retention rate. And we're talking about how Microsoft is still able to see that, and so they're trying to focus now on retention. Right. And then like, I get we shifted to, and you want to see those numbers, but like, again, that's the arbitrary shift. Like, maybe that's where we jumped off board. Now I'm not following.
Yeah, because the first part you said, I don't care about that. I just want to see the numbers. I'm not worried about, how a single bought game versus a sub game. I don't care about that. I just want to see the numbers. That's it.
So let me go back to the subject kind of before that I was saying. I don't understand how people think a subscription game motivates them to do worse when instead a subscription game generally motivates people in the right direction away from just kind of releasing a game. Like, that's where the conversation started. I don't know where we got derailed to start talking about whether or not people knew about numbers, but like, back to his point, my rebuttal was, why is a single sell point game of $70, why is that better for you, the consumer, than a service game? Because a service game is intrinsically aimed at keeping your business, whereas a single sell point game doesn't give a fuck after it gets your money in your pocket. Like, why do people think that is better consumer, like more consumer friendly than a service?
He says, how many subscription games are great and still running. Only a few succeed. Buying a complete game is a huge plus for me.
And you think paying $70 guarantees you a complete game?
Yeah, wait for him to answer. Why would I want to keep paying?
Well, if you keep paying, I would assume it's because you are continually being delivered more and more content that's keeping you engaged. If you stop having fun, you stop showing up, you stop paying money. Nobody wants that to happen, so they keep finding things for you to do. Like, why? That's going to be like, why would I want to keep having fun and spending money?
Yeah, I'll wait for him to answer. I don't know what his answer will be. But for me personally, Brett, you and I have talked about this. I'd like my experience to be one and done. You know, that's me.
You're a completionist. You're in it for more than just honestly fun. There's a whole different factor in it for you as well.
Again, I was just answering for myself while we wait for him. So he says, to answer your question, yes, it does. Zelda was a complete game with no extra added, and I got 170 hours first playthrough, and I'll play through it again.
Yeah, but that is not the norm, and that you did not get a complete experience from Zelda because you paid for a $70 price tag, right? Like, there's a ton of games that come with a $70 price tag that, let's be honest, a good majority of these games are just kind of get your money and fucking nosedive after that, man. Like, I don't think that paying, and I get what you're saying, but like, so if there's a, say, $15 a month game, right? And versus like let's just say $60 game to make the money worth it, right? Like, you realize to spend that $60 on that $15 a month game, you have to play for 4 months. You're not going to play a game you don't like for 4 months. So for them to get that same $60 out of you, they have to give you 4 months of enjoyment, which honestly you're not going to get even off of a lot of single player $60 games. You may like it more, and that's where we can get into comparing apples and oranges. Like, sure, it's a different experience, but I'm saying, like, the people with the $15 a month are a hell of a lot more motivated to make something that you enjoy, because if you're not playing, they're not eating. Meanwhile, this $70 game, they've got your money, man. Like, how many times have you played a $70 game? Like, every argument I could make right now, I'll just say this. Every argument I could make right now are the same arguments against pre-ordering. And every argument you could make in this would be an allegory or an argument for pre-ordering. Like, there is no reason to pay full price for a game that you haven't played. There's just no good reason for it.
Yeah, he says, if I don't like it, I take it back. Plus, I know what I like, so the risk is not as great as me.
Okay, I know that you can, but that is not. If everybody in the world could play a game,
yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Okay, if everybody in the world could play a game, and then if it were bad, in mass refund it, yeah, bro, we'd be living in a whole different world right now, where companies would be scared as shit of upsetting their player base and having them lash back out, especially in the first week. But we don't live in that world. That is a thing to you. So let's just say this. Like, for you, I will concede it is a better situation for you. But if we are speaking kind of thematically or just in general terms, let's go ahead and argue as if you could never return a video game again. Deal? Because that's the reality most of us live in.
Well, the funny thing is, a game like Sea of Thieves wasn't complete when it came out, but then it was just then it took after a week and months and years to become the game that it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't have happened if it Game Pass did what you said it did.
What do you mean?
Like, if you're saying that the democracy of a broken or a non-complete week one game dictates the market, it didn't for that type of game, because it took that game needed months to be whole.
Yeah, well, it wasn't finished being developed.
Yeah, exactly. But the game came out, succeeded not because of Game Pass, but because it was allowed to continue. Just like No Man's Sky on the opposite side. The Sea of Thieves is a Game Pass example, and No Man's Sky is the the single release example. Both games didn't come out how they were intended. It took months and years for them to become whole, and they became successful. And it was different markets that dictated that.
Yeah.
Okay,
By the way, real quick, Brett, he goes, hang on, is this about me and my opinion? Because you are putting your opinion as fact.
I mean, I'm trying to argue like objective outside thing. Like I don't understand that question, man.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just the way
the way both you guys are arguing your respective opinions. That's what's happening here. Brett's not trying to make out what he says as fact. That's just his
like
opinion.
I'm not trying but I'm trying to argue a generalized idea, not necessarily just my personal experience. Like it's not that I can't go and refund a game. It's that most people can't refund a game, including most people in America and everybody who buys their games digitally. Like, you're in the minority here, objectively, brother. Like, and I'm kind of arguing principle. So,
And also another example, Halo was a broken, incomplete game released that, did the people vote with their clicks and their screen time? No. Microsoft is going to keep that game going because it's Halo. So it's, that doesn't really match sort of like the democratized version of what Game Pass is supposed to stand.
not following. I'm just both being in a weird headspace now. Like, so you're saying that because Sea of Thieves was on a streaming platform that
No,
Yeah,
so I'll reward it. So you said a Game Pass or a subscription model incentivizes developers to release games complete, unlike single sale games, because all they have to do is sell the game day one, sell 10 million copies, and they're done. They don't have to worry about their games being good because they already have the sales and they don't have to worry about anything else. They can scam.
Oh no, that's not what I said.
That's how I felt. So I don't know if anyone.
All right, I think we went on long enough with that conversation. Let's start wrapping things up. Good show. We actually went on longer than I expected. I thought it was going to be a short show, but Throwdown, we do it again as always. So good stuff. Carlos, what's going on with I Am Negan?
Yeah, I Am Negan. It's a Walking Dead podcast. We're talking about the Daryl Dixon show.
Daryl Dixon.
Shout out to Daryl Dixon and the Nuke. Yeah, we're talking about that, and it's a podcast called I Am Negan. You can catch it on thecoalition.com. That's the Coalition with a K. The Coalition on YouTube. We talk all things the Walking Dead universe, all the spin-offs, the mainline show which ended, and Daryl Dixon, which is I think the the third to last episode of the season, or maybe the penultimate. I don't even know, but just stay tuned. We're gonna have our podcast up tomorrow. So yep, I Am Negan.
Good stuff, man.
Better than Ahsoka?
I have not seen that, so I cannot confirm nor deny.
You cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah. Thank you for the in-depth answers. We got you, Logic Wins. You already know, man. Throw down.
The words.
All right. And speaking about Throwdown, you can follow us in several places: Twitch and Twitter, Discord. Where the conversations are always hot and bothered. We're also on every podcast app: Throwdown Show towards Throwdown Show, throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed our videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris
Subscription only.
Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero. Oh, he's muted. There he is. Brett Murdoch.
Peace.
And Brian Manjoma.
Hello, people.
All right, people. We'll be back on Thursday. Go spend money on Amazon Prime Day. Later.